one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When you call us, Dave.
Okay. Okay, everybody have a chance to read through the minutes from March 7th? Yes. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to accept. Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is Randy Highway.
All right, start with the easy thing. Snowmobile trails are formally closed, obviously with no snow left. We had a very short season as far as a limited season, I would say. Groomers are 90% back into this shop, and so some of them have been serviced already and some are still being serviced. The county is going to assist us this week at some point to move the big one back. That is set up.
A low boy or something?
Well, sometimes they use lowboy, sometimes they're trailer, but depending on which one is available. Right now, they're busy moving their equipment to bridge project down below, so they can't do it. Couldn't do it today or tomorrow, so. We're gonna start raking Gilmantown Road tomorrow. The dirt section of it's a mile and a half at the bottom. It's a little full of potholes at this point, but so, before the complaints start. Today I had a fun experience meeting with one of the paving companies. As you can imagine, there's a bit of a price increase that's we're going to be looking at for blacktop this year. Never mind gas and fuel and stuff, but the oil prices, blacktop is all made out of oil, is dramatically gone up, and we're estimating between $10 and $13 a ton more than last year. I haven't gotten any quotes in, I just told the gentleman that what roads we wanted to do and such, and he's going to get back to me with pricing that is going to drastically, dictate where.
You give him the distance and he gives you the
I give him
estimated
the
use?
roads, the distance, the thickness, and the width that I want paved, and he comes back with prices.
An estimate.
And then I have another gentleman that does the same. So we end up with two comparable, for years and years and years. As Neil would know, we only had Katie Company, which turned into Gorman Group, that serviced this area. And about 3 years ago, we got another company out of Western New York that started branching this way. So it's nice to get two prices. More would be better, but right now we're kind of limited.
What roads are on the list?
Well, right now what's on the list is topping Hamilton Lake Road, finishing Gilmantown, and then topping what we did over on Page Street and Hanley Road. So
Gilmantown would be completely paved.
that it would be, the base would be completely done. And then hopefully next year, over the top of everything. For our section. Well, still has their own little junk.
Little piece of dirt.
Wait to see what your estimates are to see if you can get it all
Right.
in the.
It's about, a little bit more than what we did last year. But we were promised more money from the state, but I think that just went out the window with war. So,
Chips.
yeah, the CHIPS money was supposed to be, obviously the budget's not approved yet, but it's supposed to be a little bit more.
Right.
There's supposed to be some other programs that were thrown in there, so on and so forth. A lot of promising and, head nodding that goes on in any meeting I've been in.
Until you get till April 1st, you never know what you're gonna get.
Exactly. Until they pass the budget, then we'll know and go from there. So some people's for other board members in the past have asked me for the lovely 284 form. And until I see where I can spend money and how much money I have to spend on each section, I really can't tell the board what I'm doing with the money that you guys put. So that's why, besides for leaving a blanket policy, I'm gonna spend it on town roads, that really doesn't do what the idea of 284 is.
Trim, did somebody help me out with
Yep, so the 284 form is
More
by
specific.
state statute, I've gotta present to the town board where I'm gonna spend the CHIPS money and any money that's given in the budget for road projects.
it? So our budget plus chips equals 284 form, how much do you have, what can you do?
Right.
Got it.
So they asked for this to be done in January, imagine that. So we don't know what roads are gonna wash out, destroy, this, that, and then we had, for a couple of years, we had the Halloween storm damages that we're primarily doing work on. So that definitely negated the whole, trying to narrow down the 284 to exactly what I'm gonna spend it on. That being said, now we have a pricing problem. I normally have quotes in November where it's going to be estimates for this year. That's out the window.
So maybe by May?
Yeah, maybe by May. And the first salesman came today, so I'm expecting this week the second one will be strolling in. They're all hesitant on giving prices,
Oh, yeah.
so. And I'm betting every one of them has a paragraph on the bottom of them
Disclaimer.
now. Yeah.
Good for a week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so. That being said, we'll move on to some disappointing news. I believe most of you all know Kevin Air is leaving us April 8th, this is his last day. We have, last Friday, Austin Hayes gave me his resignation. He is leaving April 1st, will be his last day. And then we have, according to, we have another employee, Lynn Page, that has been offered a job at the village, and I have not been confirmed from him which way it's going to be. But that being said, there's a strong possibility I will be out an HEO and 2 MEOs by the end of the month, beginning of April, I should say, which is about 30% of my workforce. 2 of them are leaving for, money opportunities. The last one, a drastic money opportunity, going to work using his CDL license for driving truck. Offered about $6 more an hour than he's making now, which is more money than some of our employees that have worked over 20 years here. So it brings us into
Private sector.
Yeah, in the private sector. It brings us into a new realm of things. One being, I need to advertise for employment. I talked to the committee today, the highway committee, one by one. And amongst the conversation was, we can hire, one position is the garbage truck picker for garbage. That can be a laborer. The other 2 positions, one was an MEO, one is an HEO. I would like to at least hire one more, advertise for one more MEO. So I'd like to advertise total, a laborer and an MEO. Now, that being said, if the 3rd person does resign, at some point in time, I'm gonna be back asking, to go back through those advertisements, and or at least we can all dream that we have extra.
You might not need to go re-advertise, you might just, put those positions out and just keep it up,
Right.
Keep fielding it until you
Yeah,
fill your.
this may be a long distance, advertisement.
Yeah, could be. I mean,
Letting
the
people
sooner
know
the
that we
better.
still want.
Mainly because of the CDL requirement, right?
Right. So the CDL requirement goes into a whole new realm of things. As of February 7th, we cannot do what we've been doing since before me, every employee at the town of Lake Pleasant, besides for Kevin and Andy, has gotten their CDL license through the town. We cannot do that anymore. The lovely state of New York and federal government have gotten together and make you take a instructional class. Some of it's on a computer, some of it's you have to go to a training facility.
Those are very expensive.
$3,500 for a class B.
Yeah, and that's the part I don't know why that skipped by me. When I heard that we're upping the ante with this, I thought, well, that's gonna be hard for small municipalities like us. I had no idea that that was the fee. I guess
Yes. So,
they glossed over
and
it.
if that isn't bad enough, it's 2 to 3 weeks minimum to take these TOSEC classes. There's classroom classes and there's driving classes. So the idea of us hiring a laborer and promoting him into what we used to do,
That's what we used to do.
work their way up to get a license, is pretty much gone to the wayside.
And conversely, if you are
Unless-
a laborer, it's very tough to work your way up
Right.
any place. You can't afford the $3,500.
And you know, years ago, I just have to add this into it, Randy and I were talking about it today. Years ago, our wages were down, but they had the health insurance as a benefit, and now any new employees are gonna be paying 20% on top of all their taxes being taken out. So we have to really start
And
thinking about
retirement
this.
isn't good either.
Then they're gonna be paying in retirement
Yeah,
full, it doesn't go away after 7 years or 10 years, now it's, you pay it till the day you
Right, that,
retire.
the amount that every employee has taken out now just continues.
Just continue, it continues on. So
Kathy was
our new employees
Zip.
are really stuck unless they come loaded with a CDL license and have, you know, basically their own insurance or whatever. Our laborer's spot starts off at $15.55. And our MEO, which requires a CDL license, starts at $17.09. And that's 22's pay scale right now.
and
As
we
we,
start youth rec at 15 an hour. 8.
correct,
Scary.
But it's not a full-time position.
No.
but it's not a
So-
full-time
No.
spot. So hence you guys all saw last year's DOTs, we've all seen the signs at their garages looking for CDL licenses. Then we saw the billboards with the flashing lights as you came into the Adirondack Park. So we all know it, and from what I understand, they got like 2 in the state from that little.
And now they're
Right.
competing with all of us
Right.
for the few qualified drivers that are out there.
Right. And now this, I don't know why the feds decided to pass this. They put it out there that they dropped the age from 21 to 18 to get your, you know, and promoted that you can drive in New York State now with a CDL license at the age of 18. Nobody can afford to go get the license. I mean,
Kathy has something to say.
I'm just, can you hire somebody, send them to class and be guaranteed a certain number of years?
That was my smoke.
And ask them for it.
That's what I'm thinking.
If they leave,
If we're gonna pay for it,
Then-
you need 5 years.
It's done in so many other industries. It's never presented itself in
Yeah, because
municipal work.
no.
our pay scale isn't competitive,
No,
so
But
we
it had, but
gotta draw
it,
them with something.
but it hasn't been. The difference is that you got your health insurance
Right.
and you had your
they're
retirement.
better.
And it made it
Right.
tolerable. The problem is that we've removed some of those things, and some of the guys that have been hired lately are younger guys who don't have a home and a family and
They're not
the
bound.
commitment to this area.
Of course. If you take jobs that are entry level like that, it's pretty common, customary that you're treading water, but you also got your name out there. And if something better comes along, like it did for,
Austin.
for Austin, yeah, of course you gotta go. I don't know what the situation was? Did he got his CDL with us?
Yep.
Yes.
He had a permit, we
Yeah.
started him, Don was there at the interview, and I believe Don, how did you word it? You seem to have had several jobs prior,
Yeah,
and his statement was something to the effect of, this is the job, I'm going to stick with it, so on and so forth. And I'm not quoting, but a year and 2 months later, he's now leaving us.
Yeah, he got his license.
One of the things that we don't have, we have a bonus if you answer your phone. The guys police each other about making sure somebody doesn't get stuck. But we don't have shifts the way the county does, so you're stuck for the winter. You can't go out of town, God forbid it starts to snow and you get that phone call. So maybe that's something to think about.
winter is, it really is very, very difficult as far as flexibility goes. And the smaller the crews, the more so.
Yeah, but there's no life.
No combat pay, there's no.
No, there's no life.
So what I'm asking the board is, at this point in time, what can we do? Number one, we can raise the pay scale if there's room in the budget. Number two, as Kathy just started to saying, there is no incentive to stick around. So that to create that incentive in the new handbook updates that we've been working on, the payback clause that I'm trying to put in there, I don't know the wording of it. Basically, there's several of the full-timers that are long-term, people that have been there a while have come to this situation which they're close or bouncing off of the max sick time and vacation time. Because they don't take vacations every, month or 2 months or whatever in the summer, they have been accumulating it. Now the county is allowing their guys to take that money at a rate, whatever, and apply it towards their health insurance that they need to pay, the 20%. I came up with the idea that because some of us are still not, some of the guys are not paying into theirs, that wouldn't help them, that wouldn't do anything for them. So I'm proposing that in December, the first pay period in December, anything above the halfway point of their accumulation. So their sick time is halfway is 360, and their vacation time halfway is 120. Anything above that, we pay half of that amount, their hourly rate, half of it back. So say they have 240 hours, they'll get paid 120 hours at half rate at the end of the year. That being said, as of today's pay rates, that's gonna be about, hold on, I have that scale here. $11,000 out of the budget this year. Doesn't help us. It helps us keep people here.
There's retention and then there's recruiting.
Right. Right now, we have no recruiting, except for the pay scale. But retention, for some of the senior guys to up and leave all their sick time and vacation time and stuff behind, they're probably not going to do that. But let's award them for keeping it at that rate. That's, before all this happened, Betsy and I were discussing this. Because, let's face it, the county guys talk to the town guys. The county guys are laughing at this point, they just got an 11% raise, plus they get to use their sick time for paying off their insurance. So it was a win-win situation this past year.
I don't believe it was sick time though, I believe it
Not
was
sick time.
vacation time.
All vacation.
It's only
time.
vacation
Okay.
time,
I stand corrected on that.
and the 11% The year before, we didn't give anything, so that's why we gave 11% this year, where our guys, last year, were laughing at the county guys, because they got nothing
Right.
and they
We
did.
got two
And that's
and
gonna
then we
happen.
got
That we
four
can't
this year.
stop.
Not we, they got 2 and 4, so they're at 6.
Right,
So they're still 5 behind, but they could
right.
use
But the
that.
county was so far behind, like the town, with the salaries, that we decided that this was the way just to try to hold everybody off till we can work out a plan this year. That's why we gave 11% last year. We had a lot of department heads that could have walked last year, and we would have been in a lot of trouble.
Right.
Really, a lot of crucial, serious, important departments. So this was a way, and honest and truly, I know at least 2 out of the 5 that could have walked that said that sort of made them stop and think about this than to, retire now, to hang in there, to see what we're gonna come up with this year. So if we're not a little bit competitive with the county this year, because we are working on stuff, we can't, and one of the guys said it to you, after the first year, he would be able to then recoup. The first year he'd lose, and then he'd be able to recoup, and it would be worth it to move on.
Right.
And
And that was one of my senior
that's
guys.
one of our senior guys, so that's scary. We're getting down there now, and we need to really start thinking about this seriously. And I don't know exactly what the answer is, it's.
I think it's a combination of
Think
things
about this.
that's being floated out there. We may already be a little bit low on the beginning pay scale, but it drops precipitously by all of the bites that now are being foisted on the new laborer, the new medium equipment operator. So, they're probably gonna have to be addressed. It's hard to imagine, even a beginning laborer working in the ditches, and let's face it, the laborers sometimes are the hardest workers, getting paid the same as somebody who's helping kids string beads at the beach. I know one's full and one's seasonal, but those people talk too.
Right.
And you can't go
And the common thing is, some of them are saying, well, I could go to work for Dunkin' Donuts in Warrenburg and afford the gas.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
McDonald's, everybody, they've got the signs out there. Why? Because it's a labor shortage. I'd say the labor shortage is way more than important than kinks in the supply chain. It's getting people off their couches, back to work, retrained, et cetera. But they're paying them $15.50 to start in fast food.
Plus the sign-on bonus,
Yes,
And
$500. I was just at one the other day.
And this morning, Great Escape just put on the news that they're looking for 1,200 employees, starting pay to be a ticket taker was $15 an hour.
Yeah, that's the new dance card, starting
Yeah.
rate, which in the old days, we could compete because of the other things, but as they bite in,
Right.
not so much.
Kathy said it's slowly dwindling away, some of
Yeah.
the stuff.
And this particular, it comes to a point when you can't any longer train in your own people.
Right.
That was a value-added service
Yeah.
to a young, well, in our case, mostly fellas, that would come in and do this. That taken away, who just reaches in their poke for $3,500? Nobody.
Nobody.
I think we need to attack it on using, there is some, you didn't show it so much in your budget, because he's very good at this, but you're gonna have some savings in more senior employees leaving.
Correct.
So if you replace an HEO with an MEO, there's some built-in savings that we can immediately redirect into this budget.
Right.
Needs to be spent instead of saved this year, because we need to recruit these folks. But
Yeah.
beyond that, we need to do our own research on what we can do as far as holding somebody 3 years hostage, or whatever. It's done in the health industry all the time,
Right.
everywhere, right? Corporate world, all the time. We send you for your masters all the time. But this is a different day. So if we can do it, I think we need to speak at county level, we need to speak at civil service, and we need to speak perhaps with our attorney. But we're not reinventing the wheel. Tonight, in every, little burg, they're having these same discussions, because we need to backfill the posts. If we could do that, if we could front that 35 for someone that you or we felt was, and be able to, somehow pay it, you don't have to pay it back. You do have to pay it back, you leave it for 3 years.
Right, right. There's gonna have to be a clause somewhere
Yeah.
that says,
Because
this
I know
timeframe,
that
or you're gonna
legal-
own this. I know the ambulance corps does it and everything
Yeah,
else, I mean.
in the overall picture, they're legal, it's something that hasn't really been floated out there much in municipal, so we should make sure our ducks are in a row before we.
Right,
go
you can't
off
just
with that.
jump onto that.
But in the
ship.
meantime, I think tonight, we first and foremost need to move advertising,
Right,
so that the clerk can get stuff humming. What positions you looking for? What can you do? You know,
right,
I mean,
that's.
could be 2, could be 3, could be whatever.
Right, I mean, we've got enough positions that are available that, you know, do you have a CDL license and are you physically fit enough to,
Yeah.
you know, do certain things?
Well, if they have a CDL license, we roll the carpet out and we carry them in.
Like a cigar,
That's it.
a case of beer, and say, come on.
You're gonna, I think that the world is gonna be expecting now that we're gonna have to get people up to that CDL. This
we
is such a
have-
natural thing in the village, the towns, even the county. And it's just, a generation ago, that was the way you did it.
And we
Do the
have,
VOTEX do that anymore?
what's that?
Does the VOTEC do
I
that?
have called them, left messages, and am waiting for a return. It's the Warren, Hamilton, Saratoga, Essex County BOCES, and waiting for a return phone call on that. The lady I spoke to was the Niskayuna, Albany, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
BOCES today. And she said that they do it for the schools, because they're a school. They only do school bus CDL. She says, we are trying down here to get the equipment to do it for everything, the trucks, the tractor trailers, the this, the that. But, they're not gonna go out and buy.
No, I meant like the VOTEC, like the kids does VOTEC have a program?
A CDL program
Well, if they
already
don't,
in
they don't, they're
place
behind it,
for
they should be
this.
getting one, right? I mean,
Well, that's what she was saying down there in the BOCES, the
They're all
lady that I was speaking to in Albany. She said, we haven't got
The
the
equipment.
vehicles
Got
to
it.
do that. We are trying to do that, and maybe if you talk to yours, and that's, where I went with this, I said, well, I've already left messages and didn't return calls.
That would be a great program.
Yeah, that's a
But-
solution.
It's not going to start overnight.
No, no,
I mean,
this is a solution for the future.
it's a solution for the future,
Sure.
without a doubt,
You also
but
run into an issue with that with high school kids because most of them are not 18
no,
until the end of their senior year.
correct. And the way the recording at the Saratoga Warren thing says, this is our, how did they say, classroom training facility, blah, blah, blah,
Yes,
blah.
it is.
So I was like, okay, I got the right spot, and it had adult,
Yeah, adult learning.
CPR and this and that and everything else listed, but it wasn't,
Yeah, they've got one through Hamilton, HM, whatever.
Yeah, full
Yeah.
But they've got an electrician course, they've got,
all the nursing.
adult
homes,
ed,
LPN,
yep,
right.
but the adult ed.
Yeah,
and they're
yeah.
listed on the FM, the federal motor carrier list. But there's 3,500, I went to the county, and she said, oh, there's a lot of them listed. Correct. Every school has their own training facility in-house. And they had to register with the feds. And now, like you list down too, there's this, that, this. You call them? No, we're on internal only. They're only teaching their
Yep.
employees.
Yeah,
So suffice to say that all the commercial driver license programs that are out there for $3,500 are all for-profit,
Oh, yeah.
private organizations.
So far, the ones that I've called are for-profit, and they can name their own number according to this lady.
Apparently they're naming 3,500.
3,500 seems to be.
training facility?
it's difficult.
That's-
Tracy
Oh,
tried it for the county.
Tracy Eldridge already stepped
Yeah.
up and tried that little stunt.
Yeah.
And he flat out sat through the webinars and all that and said, no way.
Well, not enough resources in this town.
Well, there's not enough need or call to set up
No, there isn't.
all the
There's
training,
not.
all the teaching, and they gotta keep up with the classes and the
Expensive.
courses and this and that. All the equipment that they gotta do, and then,
The equipment
You gotta have people to
exists.
instruct, too.
The equipment exists.
Right.
What doesn't exist is a trained facilitator
Right.
in this county.
And the facility.
Find
Would you-
somebody, hire them.
Well, even if it's in the community colleges, that's where these sort of things can germinate, and they have the funds, the resource to do it. There's just no quick fix in that for those of us who need CDL appropriate employees now.
All right, well, I'd like to move that Randy go ahead and advertise for one laborer and one
Second.
MEO. You say second?
Mhm.
Okay. Any further discussion? I mean, at least get that part
Yep.
settled tonight, okay, all in favor?
Before we go, can I just abridge it to MEO and laborers,
Laborers, okay,
rather than tying them to the numbers, since we don't know?
okay. Mhm. Sure, okay. I move that, did you second it?
I did.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, so now, I mean, at least we've accomplished that and he can get moving with that, because that's a must, we have to get that going. But now it's back to the salary discussion that you wanted to talk about. I don't know if that's something you want them to mull over, but I know we
Well,
were
yeah,
talking about trying to get stuff in our handbook changed.
So the handbook thing I brought up, the girls, benefits package, use it or lose it, ends up at the, after the 10 to 15 years, if they don't use it. We all know, one of our, the most senior employee, my foreman, got hurt and was out for a whole winter. And he's already, he's worked his way back to that. He's a dedicated employee. I feel that we should be rewarding these, that, rather than saying, well, we're sorry we're taking it away from you, but, this is a benefit, because it's gonna push them to, okay, then I'm taking this week off, that week off, and this week off. And every time they have a sniffle, call in sick. I don't wanna get to that point as an employer or as a supervisor. I'd rather have the people that are dedicated come to work and reward them for that. It's open to everybody, but if some of them, if they work 3 years, will be getting something. I mean, it's that simple, if they don't abuse the time.
And Randy, you ran that idea in front of one of the fellas.
Yes.
Just to get the feeling from them, and his attitude, his idea was, what?
Well, his attitude, the half pay, paying it back, half full, I guess you could say, he was thrilled with it. And it's a end of the year thing. And I figured this person would be the best testing ground, because he would be the most one to complain. And he was
It'll be out there with him too.
Huh?
He'll talk about the rest of them,
Right.
if I know who it is.
But he was very happy with it, he thought it would be
Yeah.
great, good incentive.
And it's something we're doing already, giving them that time. So we're, actually saving, because if they don't take it, we're only paying them half of it. Half the hourly rate. If they take it, we're paying them the full hourly rate. If they use it. So,
I'm ready to move that now.
Okay, you are, okay, so,
And I wanna do some,
Yeah.
I wanna do some research on the, a payback clause, before we get down the road on that. But can't drag our feet, because that'll be the best recruiting thing you have. They start walking in your office, they look the part, it could be a real good thing, but you'd be able to drop that down. Well, you gotta go get your, okay. And the town will front that money if you will agree to this, right? So that's something we need to make sure you have that bullet, but we have to at least wait till at least the next cycle on meetings to do our homework. But I would like to move tonight for the accrual benefit exchange. I think it makes sense. Economically, it's not, I don't think it's a hardship in your budget.
no,
But it's one tool of what probably is 4 or 5 things we need to do to get competitive.
I'll second.
okay, and Don, you just seconded it?
Okay, what, I'd like to hear the resolution.
Again there.
Okay, so,
Go ahead, Neil.
So the accrual benefit exchange, as Randy laid it out, would be those times when they reach the
Max.
period they're about to use it or lose it.
for vacation and sick,
Yep.
okay?
They would be paid half of what that
Half of,
cumulative number.
half,
But only-
half of their time.
There
Correct.
you go.
Anything above the halfway mark,
They would get half
Well, that
salary,
stays,
half the hourly wage.
Yes.
for that. So if we hit it, the vacation time maxes out at 240.
Yes.
So there's 120, say a guy has 200, and December, the first pay period of December, whatever that is.
100,
So he has 80 hours in the bonus section. We'll pay him half his salary rate for that. Okay, so that means on January 1, everybody starts out, the max they can have is 120, because we already just paid it back. Okay, so now they have time to build back up
to the
Throughout
next
the year.
December.
till the next December.
Yep.
That way, if they get hurt, heaven forbid, doing whatever at home, shoveling snow, they still have time,
To earn a paycheck.
right,
that's
to earn
one
a
thing,
paycheck.
in municipalities, one thing you never want to do is allow employees to raid that icebox. The folks who are the shortest on green or just had a baby or whatever will do these things to their own detriment, right? So that they don't leave themselves any safety net when they do actually have a fall or get sick or something. So we're watching out for them there by always leaving the major first half. And then this is just an incentive to not bang out at the last minute sick when it looks like I'm gonna lose it anyway on the changeover of the year.
Any further discussion?
You're right, he will get that out.
Okay. All,
You will
yes,
get
all
that.
those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we can get that going in the handbook.
So we can
and
get that in the
that's
handbook.
last, we're almost done with our adjustments in the handbook. Right now, we're to the point we need to do this tonight, and then I need to take Debbie's handbook because when I came in, whenever we made a change, Debbie and I both made them, but before I came in for 2 years, we don't know. So I wanna take Debbie's and what the company sent me and compare those two and add Debbie's into that. And then we know we've got it all before I get it to you guys. And there's no time frame on that. You can take your time and, we can discuss it, if it takes a couple meetings, whatever. We wanna get it right. And then once we send it to this company, as Randy reminded me, they look at the legalities of it and the proper wording to use for any of the changes that we're making, so that we don't have to worry about that falling back on
Right,
us.
county's done this a number of
Yes.
times
Yeah,
over the
same
years.
company.
Yeah, and they're good at this, but you have to have good input to start with. Mainly, a lot of things just aren't considered from 15 and 20 years prior. Everything from social media to this sort of thing, right? So it's just
Yeah, absolutely.
an update.
Okay, so Randy, anything else?
Nope.
That was it?
That's
You
it.
sure you're done?
No buildings?
He's already,
I have a stack of papers here that I could go over the numbers, but I think I just pretty much explained.
You did a good job.
I
Okay.
could be a hero
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
only 45
absolutely,
minutes.
absolutely, the guys will be happy. It'll be incentive.
Fail conquering hero.
Okay, so now we'll move on to old business. I just wanna mention the museum fundraiser report. We're up to $25,312. And the thermometer in front of the museum needs to be updated, so I did speak to Chris this week, and she said that she would definitely contact the guy and get it done, because it still says 5,000. And I think that by getting that red up there, that's gonna give people incentive to
Yeah.
continue on.
Or someone's gonna think there was a huge donation just made.
Yeah,
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 Just
right.
color it in that way.
Yeah.
Wow, I wonder who did that?
Yeah. So that's the museum fundraiser. The Capital Reserve Groomer Fund update, which was subject to a permissive referendum. At this time, no one has come in with questions, concerns, or petitions at this point to Stephanie. So the 30th day will be this coming Thursday, the 24th. So at the April 4th meeting, if there's still no objections between now and Thursday, then it will be adopted. And that will be behind us. Next, the landfill post-closure update. There was a town that had not paid yet, so I did send out a second notice, a reminder. Waiting for that check, and then we'll have recouped pretty much everything. Okay, next is the Clean Energy Communities Program. I sent everybody a copy from Nancy Bernstein. I'm hoping you all had a chance to read through it and see what your thoughts are. My concerns right now are, and in here she does state that down the road, being we have a new building inspector and so does the village, they will be offering some of these energy update classes again.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah, that's what she tells me. So, we still have a chance to follow through on this, but I did send her all Bob Vankovich's classes that he took and all his certificates, and none of them qualify. None of them. Yeah, Bob was doing them right up till November for that purpose to get extra points, but she said absolutely not. So we're gonna have to start from scratch, so by getting our building inspector in the fall, when things are slowed down a bit for him again, and he's pretty much done with all his education classes and certified, he can then go to some of these classes and start, you actually have to go in person and start getting the credits. So, is there any questions that anybody had on it? It's so frustrating because all the classes that Bob took were through NYSERDA. And they all say it. Don't know.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
It is bizarre. That's why I thought if I sent them to her, she'd see them herself and understand what classes he took because they should qualify. But she said absolutely
I
not.
printed this out and read what I have here, but now I'm looking at this. At one point, it says I'm going to send a sample board resolution to the board to adopt it as far as benchmarking its buildings. Did that come through, the sample resolution? I didn't get that.
No, I never got a sample resolution. She's waiting to hear from me on if the board wants to go through with that. I told her I'd bring it to the board tonight and we would make a decision and I'd be in touch with her tomorrow. So that's up to the board if they want to continue and go forward or sit back and wait a little bit and see what happens. It's totally up to everybody else.
Need bills from at least 12 months prior to verify a 10% reduction.
We're gonna have to get all the old electric bills from 2 years prior to when we changed all the LED lighting at the town hall, at the clinic, the compound. We have to have all those electric bills, have to send them all to her because they have to review them all and see if we've had any savings since we did all the LED lighting. And I wasn't gonna go through all this work till the board made a decision, because it's gonna be a lot of work.
A lot.
to-
And the pot of gold is the $5,000 grant.
$5,000, yeah. So is this something you guys,
Wait, you get $5,000 for them to, we could get up to $5,000 back?
we can get up to $5,000 from this grant, but we have to complete we need like 4 more steps. Yeah,
Yeah,
And we
it
might not get the $5,000.
says will receive a 5,000.
That's the way I read it. It says will receive.
yeah.
I mean, we can go into this little by little with that benchmarking of the buildings, et cetera. But that would have been, that's gotta be my first question to Nancy is this, how time sensitive is it and when we get all required hurdles filled, is it an automatic? Do we get is it worth that, or does that put us in the hopper for 5,000? We've lost out on NYSERDA, think we've won some too. Just don't know how hungry they are to give this money away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it says right there though, for instance, by completing any for this CEC actions, the town will receive a 5,000 grant.
Towards a clean energy project. They're
So
very
it's not like they're handing us money, it's another project that we have to do.
Right,
And that's the thing, of course, that we learned that, Chris learned that, putting in all the legwork on the museum. You can receive money, but only if you'll spend more.
Right.
the money they give you, you have to spend it for another energy project.
To spend more.
Right.
At this point, what we did back when we were together the last time, when I was in that seat, we did a great deal, obviously with the new barn, but also out in the back barn, right, with all new lights and
Yep,
the evaporators, the separators and so on, trying to catch, little lightning in a bottle. It took a little while to get the whole front of the house to this point.
yeah,
I can't think of another project over the next 2 years
That's what I was
anyway.
just thinking, what
That-
else is there to do?
Yeah.
Well, but again, I think these are some pertinent questions. 5,000 towards a project. Could it be a $5,000 project? Is there matching to us? Where it's a $25,000 project and we'll give you 5. It's,
okay. Okay, so we'll
Yeah.
roll that down.
and
So-
she loves all this stuff.
Yeah.
Bernstein,
Yeah, she does. She was very helpful to Chris with the street.
oh,
lights.
bureaucracy,
She
man, she
really
loves
She
it,
was great.
just loves it.
Okay.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Any of those projects, at some point in time, the generator at the health center is going to be replacing. It's 25 years old now. But I don't think that would qualify, correct? Any of the sort of project that she would be looking into?
I wouldn't
Green
say-
energy, I
It's
mean,
it's a town building and
right,
It's not green energy.
but it's not green energy.
If you put solar array over there, maybe that.
Yeah, solar and some batteries, but I don't think that's gonna run that health center.
Can I say something quick?
Sure, quick.
The village just had the generator go down at the fire hall, and they checked with all the grants and stuff like that, and through Homeland Security, the grants can be used for just about anything you want, except purchasing generators.
isn't that weird?
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what they
The
told me.
green people have their fingers everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And even this one, the LED upgrades to be able to verify a 10% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. I guess someplace on the difficult to read electric bills, there are those things that tell you how much you're saving. But it always seems like the goalposts get moved.
Yeah.
It seems like the goalposts keep getting moved back a little bit every time you think you did something right. It's not.
That's a whole lot of work on a whim, and a prayer that you
Well,
get that 10%. plus
maybe she'll
the-
ask you, maybe she'll have answers for you. But I personally, I'm as green as the next guy, I just can't think of right now with what we discussed before about employees and things like that are gonna be more pressing, health costs, more pressing to do another green project in a place like us that has very little scale. It's hard to scale a project that is affordable, that somehow changes the climate.
Yep,
We went on the tour,
okay, so
one
moving
of the
on.
neighboring cities one time, and there was a company there that went totally green. It was a major company in our Adirondack. They took their office building and made it totally green. They had the water from the roof, was used to flush the toilets. They wound up getting energy that was wind generated out of Vermont and all that stuff, and I asked the manager, I said, in the end, how much do you save on your electricity by not getting it from National Grid? You're getting it out of New Hampshire or Vermont, it's wind generated. He said, actually, we pay more for the electricity than if we bought it from National Grid.
Such a surprise.
But by us doing what we did, they were considered a green company. And when the government starts putting out contracts and stuff like that, and we bid on them, we get looked on a little more favorably than John Q. Public that's burning coal and all that stuff. So
Okay, thank you, Shorty.
that's something
Okay,
to think
next.
about.
The amendment law number 1 of 2008, this is just an update. We passed the resolution. Steph had it advertised in the Hamilton County News and in her shadow box. On April 6th, we will advertise in the Hamilton County News that there will be a public hearing at our next meeting, which will be April 18th. After the public hearing, the local law is adopted, and then is sent within 20 days to the Secretary of State for approval, and then it's in their hands. Just wanted to give you an update on that, where we are. Then we're on to new business. Library President Karen McComb, it's obviously tabled for her annual library report to the next meeting. Hate to say this, but Office of the Aging contract is also tabled, as you all saw. We still have not received it, and it is up the end of March, so we have to be receiving it pretty quick. Consolidated Health, I received a letter from Tom Pasquarella. So this year our annual savings will be $1,915.17. So the total cost for GAVAC this year will be $48,339.32, in which that comes out of the Consolidated Health Fund. The contract automatically renews each year January 1st and expires December 31st through 2024. And I also sent a thank you note to the Twigs. They sent $7,000 donation for the 3 towns, so that was subtracted. So that is why our GAVAC is going to be a bit lower this year, the payment. Very generous donation from them. They work very hard. So I just didn't want to forget them. I just do want to say last year there was an issue where none of the Twigs donation hadn't been mentioned, and I remember we had discussed it at meetings, so I had contacted Tom. So this year he sent me a letter with he sent it to each town, a letter with a breakdown, so that we're all aware that they did receive. So if nothing else came out of it, at least now he's aware that we need to know when something like that happens from, organizations in our community. It is. I was also contacted by taxpayers with concerns that they've been hearing that the town of Arietta might be pulling out of the GAVAC program. So I spoke to Supervisor Rhodes last week, and he assured me that they will not be pulling out of the contract. They are working on some ambulance corps issues that they have in their town. So when you hear stuff, it's only rumor, it's not fact, they're not pulling out. They know they need the paramedics. Next, I have received an invoice from the Nathan Latour Hospital for the $4,480. It's the same price as last year, and this covers routine physical exams, sport exams, 19A, and bus driver exams. This also gets paid through Consolidated Health, just to let you know I received it, so I'll be taking care of that. Our senior meal site, I heard from Deanna Parks from Warren Hamilton County's Office of the Aging. With the COVID cases dropping, the health department has agreed, and so have I, that they can reopen our speculator meal site 2 days a week, which will be starting March 28th, and they will be open on Mondays and Wednesdays.
And that's been on Facebook and getting out there pretty good.
Yeah, trying to get that word out there. LPSA, Lake Stewards. This year, Robert Hogan will be returning to his post for the season. His paperwork is all signed and in Town Hall, so he's ready to roll. We are still waiting to hear from Christopher Yang if he is going to come back this year or not. So that's up to LPSA, and they'll kind of keep me in the loop, and I'll keep you in the loop once we know. And then our youth recreation ad, we had advertised the position in the Hamilton County Express and haven't heard from anyone. The minimum wage is $13.20. We are paying $15, and just asking for everybody's input on that. Should we be re-advertising that? Because I don't believe that we've heard anything.
You just have to ask for one?
I'm sorry?
Just
We only need one.
position.
One position, yeah. So,
When does that start and end?
July.
it'll be when school
Yeah.
gets out, it's all.
Yeah, it's
July
It's a lot,
8th, I
July.
think, is the
It's-
first day, it's
Just
after
after
4th of
4th of
July
July.
weekend. Yeah.
And then there's usually, 3 days a week?
Yeah.
Tuesday,
So do you
Thursday.
think it's kind of early that we advertised it in March?
I think it's a
No.
little bit early for, the demographic that we usually get for those positions. They're not thinking about summer jobs or, they're
Yeah, but
wrapped
they
up in
just
the end of year in
You do
college.
it, we did it one year, we did it a little later, this is going back a while ago. And then we heard, because we missed for the college kids.
Yeah.
That the college kids in March are looking, because they get out so much earlier. But most of the time, I feel like we're sort of, sort of pissing it over a dam, before they're looking, it just, would you say that's That's the fertile
They
ground, it's
just,
college
they
kids.
just finished midterms
Mhm.
last week. They were on spring break either 2 weeks ago or last week. So they're just coming back and finishing up the second half of the semester.
Should we do it?
But is the Hamilton County Express isn't really gonna be seen by college?
No, it's usually, the thought was parents, guardians, so on, see it and pass it along. This would be perfect for, little Mikey or little Mary. But, any suggestions you have, 0 replies is not good.
Speak up, Kathy, if you have a different idea, you kind of look like you might.
No, I'm just,
What do you do in the summer?
I thought about it years ago, but the salary was laughable.
Yeah, and
It's better
your
now.
teachers are
but
your
it
kids.
Right.
Well, the kids were older and didn't want me around at that stage.
So I'm just wondering, would it be a good idea if we waited and advertised, waited another week, so by the time it went in, it would actually be like it would be the second week in April? Would that be better?
I just keep coming back to, we spend 50 some odd dollars, in the Hamilton County Express, and the summer people aren't looking at the Hamilton County Express
No,
yet.
they're not, sure.
What if we got it on the chamber website, your website,
That's where it
the
belongs.
county? What if we got it on those websites? I mean,
Facebook.
we have it on ours, website, Facebook, and that's not helping either, obviously.
I'd have to see where on the county site we could put it. We don't typically do that on there, but I know that the chamber has been advertising jobs. They have a new special section on their
Yeah, they do.
website
Yeah, they do.
specifically
It's been
for
nice.
job availability.
So maybe we should contact them and
Sure, we're
Try
not.
that till
I'll
the next
ask them to push
meeting.
that out.
They're
Yeah,
free.
but-
Yeah,
okay.
sure. I'm
Thank you.
in contact with them pretty regularly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Has Katrina started?
I believe she
I
has,
think
yes,
there's
yes.
an overlap
Yes.
for a little while.
Yeah, I know Donna said she's
Train.
staying a while,
Yeah.
but Katrina's
She
in there?
is, she emailed last week already,
That'd be great.
yep,
She'll be up and, we're having a meeting with her this week, so.
Oh,
yep. Okay, next is committee reports. Anybody, Kathy, anything committee report, Rochelle?
Not yet.
No, we're gonna meet with
No, the
some-
only thing, I'll be at your disposal if you want me to come in to do any more of the handbook.
Sure.
I think that's really the good part, and you said it earlier, is that the good part is it's not something mandated, not something statutory, it's not something we have to have it filed by. We just gotta get it right, and then bring it to the board, and the board puts a stamp on it, then we can move it along.
Okay, so I promise I'm gonna try to get the rest of that done this week, I promise. Okay. Don, anything?
Nope.
No? Okay. Okay, so next I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills. We had 2 abstracts, one for March 14th and one March 18th. We'll do them both together. Looking for a motion?
We'll move.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I do just want to mention, we've been having a problem with our electric bills, and it's nothing that we're doing wrong. It seems like National Grid is having some kind of a glitch, because we sent a check in January that was never cashed until March, but then our payment that we sent in February was cashed in February. And they tried to hit us up for a late payment, so I wrote a note on it, and my name and phone number to please call me if there are any issues, but at this point, they're all together, they all get mailed out together. But the county has now realized they also do bookkeeping for Benson and Hope and us, and all 3 towns are having the same issue, so it's nothing that we're doing, it's definitely National Grid. So you may see where it looks like we've overpaid, we're trying to just go with it and then catch up, let them catch up, and we may not pay for a bit, so that's what's going on with our electric bills, so. Okay, so, and we all did it all in favor, we're all done with that. Okay, public comment. Any public comment?
I said it before, like when you're looking for summer help, not only the Hampton County News, which most people don't read anymore, but the guidance counselors in the schools. You got a lot of the kids are going to talk to their guidance counselors about summer jobs. And we've always got, like Northville School, all the schools in the county, Pullman Central, because you got a lot of people that come up to Evergreen Lake and spend the summers there. The kids want something to do, so it's a way to,
Good idea.
it's a way to pick up some, some summer help.
How come we couldn't get 7 or 8 more votes?
Yeah, right, it is a good idea. Okay, thank you, Shorty.
Yeah, and it don't cost anything either.
Right,
That's
okay,
that's the best part.
okay.
The only other thing was, like on that energy thing, that woman talked to Jeanette, and they were talking about that consolidated energy thing or something where they pass a local ordinance for everybody in the village. Yeah, you get an alternate supplier. Well, now you're asked by National Grid if you want an alternate supplier, or you get an ad, and if you want to change, you can. And they were talking, and I think it was a woman that did the presentation of the county a few months ago. But Jeanette was saying they could pass the local thing where the village would go as a whole. And if you wanted to opt out of having somebody else supply you with energy, then you would have to do the paperwork to opt out. And I didn't know what this other thing that you were talking about with NYSERD and all that other stuff.
I don't know how others would vote, but anything that forces everybody in the town to do something, it'll get a no from me.
But this is what they were talking about.
Oh, I know what they're talking about.
Right, and the woman said, oh, you're gonna save money. Well, you know yourself, it's a bunch of bunk.
Yeah, it'd be the same people that are blaming it all on the cows.
Anytime anybody calls me and says you wanna save 5% on your energy bill, I just tell them no. And I had this one guy say, why wouldn't you wanna save money? And I said, because I've got stock in National Grid, why would I wanna cut my own?
There you go.
And he hung up, it worked, Yeah, he hung up.
Okay. So before we do go any further, Nancy Bernstein did send me another email offering to come to a meeting if everybody wanted her to come and ask you questions and talk. That's up to you guys, or shall we just?
She's a wealth of
ask?
knowledge.
She
I
is,
hate to make her
if
make
you'd
the
like
trip for
that.
nothing, but maybe get the answers to those last few things.
And then we'll take it from there?
Right.
Okay.
They told
Okay.
She's a
Jeanette,
grant specialist, she really is.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
told Jeanette, if you do a project, you get so many points,
yes,
and after you get so many points, then you're eligible to get maybe a $5,000
Right.
grant,
Yep.
but to use on another
Project.
energy saving
Yeah.
it's
You get in-store credit.
Right.
right. Okay, so now we'll go into round table. Randy? Nope. Okay, Steph?
No, nothing.
Nothing? Okay, Kathy? Rochelle?
I did actually have Anita Foley, I ran into her today at the town hall, and she wanted me to ask you if the thermostats at the health center were programmable. Because she said that sometimes she goes in there on the weekend and the heat is cranked up to 75 degrees when nobody's there.
Really?
Yes.
I know where Randy will be tomorrow morning.
I know where I'm gonna be tomorrow morning.
Is that a timer thing? I mean, it could be,
No, it's just like these right here. You
Right.
can set them every day of the week, it can be set at certain things, so somebody obviously played.
Somebody
with
played
it.
She said that she'll go in there and there's like a hold button, so you can override and that'll be on and the heat will be on 75. So,
Yeah.
just wanted to bring that to your
That's
attention.
Oh, since you're on that
That needs to
topic,
stop.
mine is messed up too. Judge Smith walked in today to look over some cases and she ripped her coat off. She goes, "It's hot in here." I said, "I know." I put a sweater on and I take it off and I looked at the thermostat, it said at 55, but it was burning up in there. I don't know what it really was, but we should probably check that
This was
too.
freezing all day. I couldn't wait to go home and climb under a blanket.
Yeah, it's cold or hot. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's really hot in there.
It's freezing. My hands, oh my God.
Well,
with Nancy all the time.
okay.
Might be the thermostat.
Thank you, I will definitely be there tomorrow morning, 'cause
It's okay.
that had not been like that for long, so.
She said she turns it down, but just.
Yeah,
seems-
well, it doesn't do, it, when it cycles for the next week,
Yeah.
it's gonna go back up.
Yeah, unless it's
Because
fixed.
unless it's reprogrammed, somehow the programming got altered.
Catch.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, that is good. Okay, Neil? No?
No.
No? Okay. All I have is I just wanna say thank you to Eileen. Don't be shocked, don't fall off the chair, but every time we have a snowstorm and those guys are working a lot, she bakes, and she bakes like through 2, 3, 4 different kind of things for these guys. It's like a smorgasbord back there.
Yeah, the health underwriter, he wants you to
Well,
stop.
I just kind of feel like we needed to make a mention that, and she's done it for how many years? It's not like she just wants to, it's been years.
The good stuff, too.
Once in
yeah.
a while, he'll bring something into my desk, once in a while.
You gotta go back and wrestle those grease monkeys for it.
Yeah. I just had to mention that. Otherwise, I have nothing else.
I just wanna say,
Our-
I got in trouble one time because I mentioned Randy was eating a lot of them.
He shares. Okay, so our next meeting will be Monday, April 4th, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
And
I know.
if you look at the sky tonight at 23 minutes after 8, and look to the west, at about 30 degrees, then the Space Center will go over for 6 minutes.
Oh, yeah?
Who's going over?
The space
The
center.
Space Center,
Oh, I didn't know.
Capitol
All
says
right. Get out there and wait.
from the west,
Eight.
to the northeast.
I don't know how you like Oregon, you know, that might
You
be-
wait to that American that's up there, that's right.
Up there with the